Welcome, folks, to the final episode of this season of BattleTech Simplified. I'm Michael Schachman, I'll be your host and commentator, and in today's episode, we will be covering the king of the battlefield, the creation of Alexander Kerensky himself, and the mech that often is the turning force in any key battle in the Inner Sphere. Today we will be covering the Atlas. The Atlas is probably the best known battle mech to have ever set foot on the modern battlefield. Designed with specifications from Alexander Kerensky himself in 2755, in the midst of the Cameron Edicts, the Atlas was originally intended to ensure SLDF superiority over the Star League member states. Though the inexorable arming of the great houses continued, the Atlas proved itself to be everything General Kerensky requested. With the largest amount of armor of nearly any battle mech, crippling firepower, and the foreboding skull-shaped Death's Head cockpit/head assembly, the Atlas lived up to its reputation. The mere sight of an Atlas had been known to make even a veteran mech warrior break out in a cold sweat, and theoretically a single Atlas can take on and wipe out an entire battalion of Stingers in exchange for minor armor loss. The Atlas's first combat trials came during the American Civil War, where it served in an instrumental role as a powerful command vehicle. Though General Kerensky is well known for being the one who kicked down the palace doors of the usurper in his Orion, it was his close friend Aaron de Chevalier who, in his Atlas, weathered the storm of enemy cannon fire and breached the protective wall surrounding the complex. After this conflict, it was therefore with little surprise that the general wished for all these mechs to accompany him on Operation Exodus. But ironically, of those mech warriors who refused his summons, fully 2/3 were Atlas pilots. These units were spread among the successor states, and Atlas factories on Al Nair, Hesperus II, and Quentin would continue production of the mech through the succession wars. Most commanders were loath to tamper too much with a successful mech design, but the recovery of the Helm Memory Core resulted in a number of ancient designs being updated with lost tech, and the Atlas was no exception to this. The new AS-7K model was released in 3049, just in time to fight off the clan invasion. The Federated Commonwealth also briefly began production of their own model, the AS-7S. Although following the Civil War, the line was discontinued with further variants, and further variants have been introduced by the Lyran Alliance and the Draconis Combine. Despite its age, well into the end of the 31st century, there were no plans to replace the Atlas, and even the most cutting-edge designs will stop and pause when faced with the prospect of an Atlas bearing down on them. The Atlas is armed with a multitude of weapons for both long and short-range combat, all designed specifically to be as visible and as possible, so as to strike fear into the hearts of the enemies. For long ranges, the mech carries a Farfire Max Rack LRM-20 in the left torso that allows it to fire quickly at an enemy at range, at an enemy target at long range, and to give indirect fire support when needed. Unable to fit a full 20-tube system in the mech, the Farfire instead launches the missiles in waves of 5 over the course of 10 seconds and carries 2 tons of reloads for 12 such salvos. For close-range combat, the mech is armed with a Defiance Mech Hunter Autocannon 20 in the right torso with 2 tons of ammo. Although lacking a cooling jacket and liable to overheat, the massive autocannon gives the Atlas the firepower to take on an entire mech company. To back up the AC-20, the Atlas carries 4 Defiance B3M medium lasers, 1 in each arm and 2 mounted in the rear center torso, and as well as a Thar Hess Maxi SRM-6 launcher, with 1 ton of missiles in the right torso. The aperture between the SRM and LRM launchers is not enough room for an omni coupling, but an omni coupling for power and coolant cable connection. Furthermore, the Atlas is equipped with hand actuators which, combined with its sheer weight and power, make it a potent hand-to-hand fighter. Accounts of Atlases actually picking up medium-weight mechs and throwing them around like toys makes for suitable horror stories and further enhances the aura of this mech. Carrying 19 tons of armor, almost the entire weight of some light mechs, makes the Atlas one of the best protected mechs ever built. Its armoring is particularly thick on the front chest and its legs. As well, its use of 20 heat sinks also gives the mech an efficient heat management system. If there is one disadvantage to the Atlas, it is its speed. With a rather slow cruising speed of 32.4 kph, this makes it easy for most enemy mechs to outrun the Atlas, and so escape its clutches. Which, as it so happens, is also the best chance most enemy mechs have of surviving an encounter with this beast. A full year of development went into crafting the famous Death's Head of the mech to achieve the perfect ratio of functionality and fear. The head is also quite roomy and allows a small satellite dish to be mounted for surface-to-space communications. During combat, the pilot can easily fold up the dish and store it within a protective portion of the head. As for my personal feelings on the Atlas, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, what is there to say? It was a mech that was designed to be as foreboding as possible, as powerful as possible, and as fear-provoking so that fear itself may be their ally. That's a paraphrased quote from Alexander Kerensky himself. It does it in spades, and it's an amazing mech. Sure, the original Mech Warrior and BattleTech poster child might have been the Timberwolf / Mad Cat, but there's a reason why for BattleTech nowadays and why I actually as you've seen on the intro and the thumbnail for this, I have the Death's Head for my thing. It is the best mech that I've been able to find anywhere in the game, hands down. Thank you so much for joining me on this series, folks. I really appreciate all of the likes, shares, and all of the comments that we've been getting, and all of the views. I'm really glad that you guys have enjoyed, and I really hope that we can continue to make good content like this, and I can continue to better make my content better for you guys so that you'll enjoy it more, and continue to improve. Stay tuned for our next series after this, where we cover specifically the four weight bracket, or the 4 weight types, those being light, medium, heavy, and assault, and what it means to be inside of them for each mech in the next little while. Stay tuned for that, where we will start with light mechs and then move all the way up to assault, and yeah. As a quick little reminder here at the end, I said it at the beginning and I'll say it now at the end. If you guys want to see what I'm looking at and find any of the readouts or any of the scripts kind of that I'm using for at least the majority of for these episodes, go and check out the link down in the description to Sarna.net. Sarna.net is in my opinion, the pinnacle of BattleTech and Intersphere knowledge, covering everything from history, mech loadouts, mech histories, aerospace stuff, just everything you could possibly think of, you can find it on there if it has to do with BattleTech and the worlds therein. Check it out. I'm Michael Schockman, ladies and gentlemen. I've been your host and commentator. Thank you again so much for joining me in this series. I really appreciate all of you. Just remember, keep it real, keep it safe, keep it healthy, and we'll see you guys again soon in the Inner Sphere. Later, everybody.